In this video, let's talk about the character of Bellwether from Zootopia. At first glance, she seems totally harmless. She looks sweet, a little nerdy, and definitely the underdog in a city full of powerful predators. Everyone pretty much ignores her, brushes her off, and treats her like she doesn't matter. People underestimate her because of her soft appearance, her woolly coat, and her big awkward glasses. But if you look closer, there's a much sharper mind behind those glasses than anyone ever expected. That's Bellwether for you. She's not just the mayor's assistant, she's actually the mastermind behind a huge and dangerous plan that nearly destroyed Zootopia. In other words, she's a villain that totally catches you off guard because she doesn't fit the usual villain mold. When we first meet Bellwether, it's hard to imagine she could be the bad guy. She doesn't look threatening at all. Right from the start, she comes off as overworked, overlooked, and definitely not appreciated by Mayor Lionheart. She's clumsy, soft-spoken, and always stuck in the background, like she's playing second fiddle. She fits that classic underdog role perfectly, and because we usually root for the underdog and feel sorry for them, it's really tough to see her as the main villain in the story. It's not like the movie left us completely in the dark about her true intentions. There were definitely some subtle hints that something was off. You just had to pay attention. For example, she often showed genuine frustration when it came to predators. She'd make little side comments about how prey animals get treated unfairly, and those lines weren't just casual, they actually hinted at her deeper feelings. She also kept pushing Judy to keep digging into the case, even when it was getting risky. At first, it seems like she's just being supportive and helpful, but if you look closer, you can see those are clever manipulation tactics. Bellwether wanted Judy to uncover something that would back up her own story. She was working quietly in the background, pulling strings without anyone realizing what she was really up to. At the core of her plan was something pretty dark: fear. She knew that in Zootopia, there's this huge divide between predators and prey. Predators only make up about 10% of the population but have historically been the ones in charge. Bellwether believed it was time for that to change, but not in a fair or equal way. Instead, she wanted to flip the power dynamic so she and the prey could control predators. To do that, she used a naturally occurring toxin from a flower to turn predators into scary, aggressive monsters. But here's the thing: they weren't actually monsters by nature. Bellwether used this fear tactic because if the prey believed predators were dangerous, it would be way easier to isolate them, control them, and get rid of them if needed.
Predators. They may be strong and loud, but prey outnumber predators 10 to 1. Think of it, 90% of the population united against a common enemy will be unstoppable.
She absolutely loved having power, and fear was her favorite tool to keep control. It was her secret weapon, and she used it perfectly to almost tear Zootopia apart. She wasn't trying to stop Judy at all. In fact, she was using her. She knew how determined Judy was to figure out what was happening with the missing predators. Bellwether understood that Judy's drive to solve the mystery would actually lead her right into the trap she had set. Judy wasn't just a pawn, she actually helped her spread the fear and mistrust toward predators. As the public started to panic, thinking predators were dangerous and unpredictable, Bellwether was fully prepared. She wasn't some invisible background character, she was the one pulling the strings, guiding the city into division and chaos. The craziest part? She pretended to be a victim the whole time. She made herself look like she was just a sweet overlooked assistant caught in the middle of all this. Her plan almost worked perfectly. Judy and Nick only uncovered the truth at the very last minute. By then, the city was already starting to tear itself apart. But this chaos was exactly what Bellwether wanted. In her own mind, she was the hero. She believed she was finally creating a new kind of world, a place where prey animals could feel safe and in control. That's why she's such an effective Disney villain. She's clever and subtle, she doesn't need to use brute force or obvious violence. Instead, she relies on strategy, manipulation, and patience. Most importantly, she makes you question who you can really trust. She never directly attacks, she lets others do the dirty work and then steps in at just the right moment to take control. That kind of villainy catches you completely off guard. She's the villain you never saw coming.